I pray that you are well, and I am so excited that you have tuned in to the Audacity Podcast with your sister, Pastor K. I'm so excited that you tuned in, and I'm excited about what we're going to discuss today. It's such an honor and privilege for me to partner with you so that together we can cultivate a spirit of audacity as we take the risk of faith to shine through whatever circumstances we may face. So the Audacity Podcast is dedicated to speaking to women who may have lost their light or their light has become a little dim due to life circumstances. But I still believe that it's our time to shine. And together, we're going to cultivate that audacity, and we're going to have the audacity to do it. All right? Okay, so now listen. During the last episode, we ended our conversation with me asking you to make 5 declarations. Now, I trust that you've been making those declarations. You're continuing to make those declarations. But just in case you didn't, I want to go over those quickly again today because I believe that these declarations are important for us to speak over ourselves. I believe that as we make these declarations, that we are giving ourselves that audacity. We're cultivating that audacity within us. We're giving ourselves confidence to speak, confidence to shine. So I want to go over those declarations with you one more time. Number 1, failure is not final. Come on, I need you to believe this with everything in you, that failure is not final. Failure simply defines an experience that we've had. We may have failed at something, but failure does not define who we are. It defines what happened to us, something that we may have done, but it does not define who we are. So as a result, failure is not final. So I don't care what you've done. I need you to make the declaration, my failure, whatever I did wrong, whatever I came up short in, my failure is not final. We serve a God not only of second chances, but we serve a God of another chance. We can't say second because many of us have had second chances, but we serve a God of another chance. So your failure is not final. Number 2, my adversity will advance me. We will all experience adversity at some point in our lives. It's inescapable. As long as we are living, there's going to be something that we encounter that's not going to be favorable. That's going to be an adversity to our progressive movement. But you have to understand this, that adversity advances. Whatever the adversity is, it has an assignment. And so we have to consider, why is this happening to me and what is it teaching me? So that I can advance from this into something better, into something greater, into something that has more wisdom. Come on. So all of the adversity that we encounter has an assignment. You have to make the declaration, my adversity will advance me. And I believe that every time we experience adversity, there's something that we can learn. So there's a gain from it. Number 3, the third declaration, my pain will produce promotion. Now, this is a tough one because I haven't come across anybody that enjoys pain. But I do know that all of us are going to experience it in some way. So we have to make a declaration that my pain will produce promotion. We have to say that my pain now is becoming my transportation to another testimony. It is teaching me something about God. It's teaching me something about myself. So my pain, I have to look at it because our pain has purpose. And I believe that our pain will produce promotion. And when I speak of promotion, I'm just simply meaning that it's going to take you to a new place. You're going to ascend to a new place where there are some things that you thought you would never make it through. There are some places that you are now that you never thought you would arrive to, but you got there because pain was your transportation there. Listen, the transportation, the transitions in life, pain will promote you. You got to believe it. And you have to make sure that you assign purpose to your pain. Understand that your pain has a purpose. So don't just get stuck there. What is this pain offering me? Where can I go from here? What can I learn from this? How can I be better? Come on. How can I be better so that I don't repeat this thing? So my pain will produce promotion. Make the declaration. Number 4, the 4th declaration, there is still life after loss. How many of you have ever lost anything? You may have been a loved one. You may have lost your job. You may have lost your car. But I believe you can yet testify that there is life after loss. Certainly, we have to give ourselves time to grieve the loss, but there is still life after loss. And in that time, that space where you're grieving, take the time that you need. Don't let anybody rush you out of that process, but also know that I'm coming out of this because there is still life after loss. I'm still necessary. If I'm still here, that means that my life is still necessary. So there is life after whatever it is that you may lose. And God will come and give you beauty for ashes. Come on. So there is life after your loss. And number 5, I need you to declare emphatically that it's my time to shine. And this podcast is all about that, where we are building and cultivating audacity so that you know that no matter what you are experiencing, you can still shine through it. You can still shine in it. You can still shine as a result of it. Sometimes the circumstances that we face, they come to refine us so that our shine is more brilliant, that we shine brighter. Come on. So I need you to declare that it's my time to shine. No matter what I'm going through, it doesn't diminish who I am. No matter what I'm facing, it does not have to diminish my shine, my light. Remember, this Audacity Podcast is about coming alongside you so that you can get your light back. Come on. So that you can get your shine back. It's my time to shine. So I want us to be able to do our best, to have the audacity, the boldness, to take the risk of faith, to believe that what God has already said about us is what's truth. I need you to believe that what God has already spoken about you is truth. And sometimes we have to make declarations that align with what he has already said. And what I love about God, among so many things, is that he does not allow his thoughts of us or his opinion of us to become clouded or even altered because of what we experience in life. Now, if I was in church, I would say that's a good place to give God a praise right there. Did you hear what I said? That God does not allow his thoughts about us or his opinions about us to become clouded or altered based upon what we experience in life. What's so amazing is that what he thinks about us was already determined and decided before we ever got into the trouble, before we ever got into the struggle, before the disappointment ever came, before the failure ever came. He already determined his thoughts about you. He already determined his opinion about you. Listen, I need you to get this. God's thoughts about you, his opinion about you, his thoughts and opinion are not predicated upon anything other than what he has already declared. I need it to sink in for a moment. His thoughts about you, his opinion about you is not predicated upon anything other than what he has already said. So what does that mean? That means that your situation does not change how God feels about you. That means that your circumstance that you're facing right now does not change how God thinks about you. His opinion is the same. What he thought about you in the beginning is what he's still thinking about you now, right in the midst of your struggle. Remember, I tell the people all the time, God's not afraid of your humanity. He knows who you are. He knows what your proclivities are. He knows what your tendencies are. And yet he still thinks the same thoughts he thought about you before you got into any trouble. That's a great God. That's a great God. So this is why I am encouraging you to make those declarations so that you can do what you can to ensure that you are aligned with what God is thinking and not about what this circumstance might be saying to you. So you got to declare failure's not final. My adversity will advance me. My pain will produce promotion. There is life after loss, and it's my time to shine. I need you to get those declarations. Now, let me ask you this question so that we can build our focus for today. What is the greatest battle that you're in right now? What is the greatest struggle that you're facing? Now, for some of you, it might take a moment for you to figure that out, but for the rest of us, we're right in it right now. So it doesn't take a whole lot of time to determine what that struggle is. But once you have determined the struggle or the circumstance, the next question is, what are you saying to yourself about it? What are you saying to yourself about the struggle that you're in right now? What's your self-talk like? So it's pretty much a twofold question. What are you saying about the situation? And what are you saying to yourself about you in the situation? This deals with self-talk. What is the inner voice? What are you saying to yourself? Because listen, what you say about yourself, what you say about yourself in this struggle or in this circumstance largely determines how you're going to experience it, how long you're going to stay in it, how you're going to process through it. So I wanted us to focus today on your self-talk. I would say, if I was in the sanctuary, I would say, watch your mouth, because what you say to yourself has such great impact on how you feel. It has great impact on what you do. It has great impact on your entire perspective about the situation. What is your self-talk like? What are you saying to yourself? I need you to understand that we have to be careful about what we're speaking. And sometimes you have to make every effort to not only be careful about what you're speaking, but also about what you're hearing. I want to make that point because sometimes we're speaking because of what we heard. Our speech becomes what somebody poured into us or what somebody said to us. So I don't recommend that we isolate ourselves when we're going through a difficult time or we're going through a hard place. I don't recommend that we isolate ourselves because we all need support and help. But I do recommend that sometimes you may have to separate yourself in order to guard your ear gates. I am recommending that sometimes you may need to separate yourself from somebody that's speaking negatively or speaking doubt or speaking fear. I remember when I was going through my divorce after 30 years of marriage. Come on, that's a long time to be married to one person. So a lot of people that were in my life, they had their own thoughts and opinions about the decision that my husband, I call him my husband, what my husband and I made. And so there were people who said a lot of things. Some people said, why would you get a divorce after 30 years? After 30 years, you should just stay with him. Why would you leave? There are some people that said, we're so sorry. They didn't really know what to say. There are some people that said, what are you going to do now? You're on your own. And for me, listen, I'm already dealing with my own feelings. I'm already dealing with my own thoughts. I had been married for 30 years. I had never lived by myself before. I went from my parents' home to college with roommates to being married in college. So I never even had the experience of living by myself. And here I am now, divorced after 30 years, and I'm living on my own. That's a frightening experience. And I had people who were telling me all kinds of things. Well, you should do this, Carla. Well, you should do this, or you shouldn't do this. And I had to really learn quickly that there were some people that I had to separate from for a period of time. I couldn't accept some phone calls from some people. I couldn't talk to some people because they were feeding me something that I did not need to hear. It was not helping my situation at all. So I'm just suggesting to you that sometimes when you find yourself in a hard place, don't necessarily isolate yourself, but sometimes you may have to separate yourself just for a period of time until you can become more stable in your own emotions. You have to guard your ear gates. Because the Bible says that faith cometh by hearing, but also fear can come by hearing. Doubt can come by hearing. So you have to be careful of not only what you're speaking, but also what you're allowing yourself to hear. Because what you hear can impact your self-talk. What you hear can impact what you say to yourself. And I'm already struggling. When you're already struggling, you don't need people that are going to compound what you're already feeling. Come on now. You need somebody that can help you through the situation. You're already grieving. And I really don't need anybody else to add on or pile on what I'm feeling. So listen, I tell people all the time, especially when I'm ministering to women, that I believe that you need some specific qualities that some folk in your life need to have. There are some specific qualities that some people in your life need to have. I call them the 6 P's. Listen to this. This is how I feel. The people in your circle, not everybody, not everyone will have all of these 6 P's, but you need to have some people in your circle that have them. You need to have people, number one, that can pray for you. Listen, we all need prayer. And when you're going through difficult situations, sometimes you find that you can't even pray. You can't even pray for yourself. You need somebody that can pray for you. You need to have somebody in your circle that's a worshiper. You need to have somebody that can get in touch with God for you in the meantime. You need somebody that can pray for you. You need somebody that can pour into you. Because when we're going through a hard place, we're going through a painful place, it seems like we're empty. You need somebody that can pour into you and remind you of who you really are. Because listen, circumstances and situations can cause you to forget. You can forget your own name when you're under so much stress and when you're in a lot of pain. So you need somebody that can pour into you, pour the word of God into you, pour love into you. Come on, pour comfort and compassion into you and remind you of who you are. Then you need somebody that can push you. Because they can say to you, you've been in this place too long. Come on here. You're going to have to get up from here. And they get behind you and they push you. They push you from that place of feeling so low into a new place. They push you. They take the time to do it in love. They push you. Then you need somebody that can stand in front of you. That can look you straight in the eye and extend a hand and pull you up from where you are. You need somebody that can pull you because you don't have the strength to move. But if they pull you, they can give you a little jump start. Come on, you can take it from there. But sometimes you need somebody to extend a hand and they pull you. Then you need somebody that can protect you. How many of you know that sometimes when you're going through a low place, that you have people who are saying all kinds of things, people trying to figure out all your business? You need somebody that can protect your reputation and can cover you until you recover. You need somebody that is in rooms where people are saying things and they will stand up for you. Come on. So you need somebody that can protect you, not just in your presence, but when they're apart from you and other people are saying things about you and what you're going through, because everybody doesn't, they don't always understand. And everybody doesn't have something good to say. But you need somebody that can protect you. And then, lastly, number 6, you need somebody that can pay for you. Sometimes you got to help a sister out. Sometimes you need somebody that can pay for your dinner. You need somebody that can help pay your rent. Come on, that's not going to complain. They're coming alongside you because they're there to help you. So they can pay for you until you get back up on your feet. So I say it like this. You need the 6 P's in your circle. Somebody got to be able to pray. Somebody has to be able to pour into you. Somebody has to push you. Somebody can pull you. Somebody that can protect you. And somebody that can pay for you sometimes until you can get back on your feet. So I believe that if you don't have any of these people in your circle, you might need to add some folk to your circle or change your circle. Because in life, we're going to come up against challenges where we're going to need these kind of people in our lives. But today, I want us to focus a little bit on our self-talk, what we say to ourselves about ourselves, what we say to ourselves about the experiences that we're facing. I want us to discuss some of the benefits of a positive self-talk, What is your self-talk like? Come on, think about it for a moment. Just today, as you're starting off your day, when you got up this morning, what did you think about you? What did you say to yourself about your experience? Did you say, this is a new day and this is going to be a great day? Or did you say, oh, I got to go to this job again. I don't like it. I'm facing this situation. How come this is always happening to me? What was your self-talk like this morning? Before you start listening to this podcast today, what has been your self-talk? What have you said to you? What is that inner voice saying? I know that we're just going to lay a foundation today, and on the next podcast, we can share more information. But I just want to lay a foundation and just start talking about self-talk. What is it? Self-talk is the way we talk to ourselves about ourselves. Self-talk is that inner voice that often determines how we perceive a thing, how we see a thing, how we react or respond to a thing. So our self-talk, remember, I told you in the beginning that this podcast is going to blend and marry psychology and theology. So you're going to hear psychological terms, but you're also going to hear scripture. Come on. We want to hear what the psychologist is saying, but most importantly, we want to hear what God is saying about it. But so I want to talk about the self-talk because our self-talk includes our conscious and unconscious thoughts and beliefs. And of course, whatever we believe determines how we behave. Come on. And so we have to make sure that we are assessing how we're talking, not to just other people, but we have to determine and assess how are we talking to ourselves. Because how we talk to ourselves will determine how we talk to other people, how we interact with other people, how we interact with God, how we interact with ourselves. What do you think about you? Women, we have a tendency to prioritize everybody else over ourselves. We have a tendency to place priority on everybody else's problems and not our own. Women, we have a tendency to nurture other people, but not nurture ourselves. And so I want us to really assess, what is our self-talk like? What are you saying to yourself about you? Do you like you? What do you think about you? Do you think you're good, a good person? What is your self-talk like? What are your internal beliefs about you? And I want us to look at that because too often, even though we can grow up in the church, we can believe in God, we can even serve in ministry, but our esteem is not where it needs to be. And sometimes we can fake it now. We can fake it in front of people, but when we get behind closed doors, we don't feel the same way that we project. And I don't want us to continue to project something that's not really real for us. I want it to be real. I want us to get to the place where we have the audacity to be our authentic self. That means I'm the same when I'm in front of you as I am when I'm not in front of you. I'm the same in public as I am in private. Now, we all know that in private, we're working on ourselves. So we have work to do, that we're not always pleased with everything that we do or everything that we say. That's a given. But listen, we're not so duplicit or dichotomous that we're two separate people, depending on the situation. No, we are authentically ourselves, and we don't have to hide it. But that's why I want to focus on, what is your self-talk like? The Bible says it like this: death and life are in the power of the tongue. What does that mean? That you can create death or life situations based upon what you speak. So what are you speaking to yourself? In the situation that you're facing right now, the circumstance that you're in right now, it may be, I don't have enough money. It may be my relationship. I don't understand what's happening in my relationship, or my marriage isn't what I want it to be, or I'm not pursuing my vocation, my career the way I want to. Whatever the situation is, what are you saying to yourself about the situation? And what are you saying to yourself about yourself in the situation? I need you to assess that, because that will speak a lot, and it will speak volumes about how well we're going to experience what we're going through and how long it's going to take us to get through it. There are benefits of positive self-talk, and there are detriments to negative self-talk. Where are you? When you assess yourself, what are you saying to yourself? I want you to say, I'm great. I am the head and not the tail. That's what I want to say about myself. But now, in all transparency, I have those days where I'm not really thinking that about myself. There are some days when I'm speaking the negative. I'm speaking the reality of my situation, and my situation isn't good, and I don't feel good about it. And I don't feel good about me in it. And I wish I wasn't, and all these things that we say. But we have to then determine, is what I'm saying about myself, is it helping me or is it hindering me? Is it promoting my growth or is it stunting my growth? What is your self-talk like? Because what we speak matters. What we say to ourselves about ourselves matters. So I want us to really focus on what you're saying, what you're speaking. Again, I've asked you, the situation that you're in, what are you saying about that situation? What are you saying about yourself in the situation? Because what you speak creates a frame. Remember, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, right? But then he spoke things into existence. But one of the key points about that is that he spoke in the midst of darkness and he spoke in the midst of chaos. So what does that say to us? That as believers, we have the privilege and the power and the authority to speak to our chaos and to speak to our darkness just like God did. And we can declare, let there be light. But now we can also declare, well, I'm in the midst of this trouble. I'm in the midst of this problem. This is always my lot. Nothing ever works out for me. Nothing ever changes for me. I've been praying about this. God hasn't changed my situation yet. We can get into all the negativity. And if that's all we're speaking, negative, if that's all that how we view ourselves, the negative, then that's how our life is going to be. I want to put an end to all of that because that's not what God wants for any of us. He says we're the head and not the tail. Right? He says that we can decree a thing and it be established. That's the word. But you have to be careful of what you're speaking. Watch your mouth. Not just about what you're saying about somebody. I want you to focus on what are you saying to you? What are you saying about yourself? When's the last time you told yourself, I love you? Have you ever said that to yourself? Have you ever said to yourself, I'm proud of you? Have you ever looked in the mirror and said to yourself, you know what, you all right with me? Or do you look in the mirror and say, man, you're always messing up. You're always doing it wrong. You can never get. No. We're going to stop all of the negative self-talk. I'm putting the challenge to you that for the remainder of this week, we're going to practice this. That when you get up in the morning, you have something positive to say. It doesn't matter what your situation is. Remember, he spoke into darkness and chaos. The situation doesn't matter. It's what are you saying to yourself about the situation and what are you saying about yourself in the situation? That's what matters. That's what matters. What are you speaking? I was preaching a message this past Sunday about the Shunammite woman. And if you know the story, she built a room for Elisha, the prophet. She perceived that he was a holy man of God. What's so intriguing about this woman is that she built an extra room on her home because she wanted the presence of Elisha there. She didn't want anything in return. But Elisha asked, what can I do for this woman? And God blessed her with a son. She was old in age, husband old in age. But God worked a miracle and blessed her with a son. Well, the son dies. Can you consider the loss she felt? If any of us would lose our child, the loss, how great that was. She took her son and laid her son, the Bible says, in the room that she built for Elisha. She left her son there. But all the while she's on her way to Elisha, and even when she arrived to him, she never said anything negative. Listen, all she said was, it is well. My God, all she said was, It is well. In the midst of her greatest loss, in the midst of her worst day, she still declared, listen at her self-talk, it is well. No matter what she was dealing with internally, what came out of her mouth was, it is well. So I'm not suggesting that we dismiss all of the emotions that we're feeling. No, I am suggesting that we be mindful of what comes out of our mouth, because death and life are in the tongue. She spoke, it is well. And as a result of what she spoke and getting the attention of God, because she did not give in to any negative self-talk, her son was restored. How many things can be restored in our lives if we are mindful of what we speak? If we become more attuned to what we are speaking, even in the midst of our worst situations, I'm suggesting to you that if you control your self-talk, you can control how you experience a situation. That even though the situation may be bad, I'm not suggesting that we don't go through anything. Trust and believe. I'm right with you. I understand it. But I'm learning and attempting to make every effort to speak well, even if my situation doesn't seem well. That I'm trying to help us understand how critical it is for us to speak well and declare it is well, even when the situation is bad. Because how we speak about it and how we speak about ourselves determines how we get through it, how we come out of it. So I need you to assess, what is your self-talk like? What are you experiencing right now? What have you said about you? I think you're great. I believe that you're wonderful. I believe that whatever the Lord has spoken over your life, that it is so. But it's not enough for me to believe that about you. I need you to believe it about you. Under no uncertain terms will you define yourself by the circumstance. That's how I want you to believe. Under no uncertain terms will I define myself by the circumstance I'm in. I'm going to define myself by what God has said about me. I'm going to say of myself, I am well and it is well. But it takes practice. Listen, because what I don't want you to believe is that just because you say it, that it's going to take all the problems away. No, ma'am. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting that it will produce a greater level of confidence in you when you speak positively. I am suggesting that it will produce a greater boldness in you, the audacity. When you speak well, the situation may not be well, but I'm well in the situation because God, He has my back. Listen, you have to know that whatever the situation is, you're not defined by that. So I'm challenging you today with your self-talk. I'm challenging you to stay positive with what you speak to yourself about yourself. You are more than a conqueror, even when you don't feel like it. You are above, even when you're in a low place. Come on. You have power, even when it seems like you're powerless. I am full of power. It's an attitudinal shift. It's a dispositional shift. Your self-talk impacts that. You cannot shift upward if your self-talk is always downward. Come on. So we have to be careful and mindful of our self-talk. And so the challenge today, I'm going to leave you with this. The challenge today is that for the remainder of this week and going forward, that you're going to monitor what you're speaking to yourself about yourself. You're going to monitor what you're speaking about your situation. Mm-hmm. It may not be good, but it's teaching you something. It may not be favorable, but you still have the favor of God. What are you saying to yourself? I'm encouraging you today. Assess your self-talk. Stay positive. Sometimes if you have to put your hand over your mouth to stop something negative from coming out. Then that's what you have to do until you get to a place where you're speaking positive consistently. And that becomes your nature as opposed to speaking negatively. Do you realize that there are people who are they just seem to speak negatively about everything? No, you can change that with your self-talk. You can change that by getting in prayer so that God can make some adjustments in your heart. Come on. So I am encouraging you today. Focus on your self-talk. The benefits, we'll talk more about that in the next episode, about the benefits of a positive self-talk life, because it is extremely important. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Speak life. Even in a dead situation, speak life. Even in unfavorable conditions, speak life. And as I'm presenting this challenge to you, I have to accept the challenge myself, because none of us have it perfectly. None of us do it so consistently that we can say we've never spoken negatively at all. But it has to become our practice, right? It has to become our discipline. And when we recognize that we are not speaking positively, we have the power to reframe it. We'll talk more about that in the next episode. Positive self-talk. And when we're talking negatively, how do we reframe a situation so that we can see it differently? How do we advance the frame in our situation so that we can speak positively? So again, the challenge today, assess your self-talk. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth, because death and life are in the power of your tongue. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Again, looking forward to sharing more with you. In the next episode, we will continue with Watch Your Mouth, a positive self-talk life, because what you say to yourself matters. We're going to have the audacity to shine, because we're going to monitor and assess our self-talk. And we're going to speak about ourselves what God has already declared over us. I pray that you have a great day today. Remember, it's your time to shine. Love and blessings.